You know, for many, he's considered one of the top Aboriginal rock, pop, and folk stars of the last 70 years. His dramatic voice and guitar playing thrilled and excited many, many people across the globe. He was a star of Woodstock, a star of the folk circuit, and best known again for a key cover, Here Comes the Sun, George Harrison and the Beatles. So today, although he's been passed away 11 years now, his spirit lives on. I thought I'd give him tribute because I saw a Handsome Johnny video, I think from late 60s, just recently on YouTube. We're going to talk about the great Richie Havens. Now, his American singer-songwriter guitars, his music encompasses elements of numerous genres, including rock, folk, soul, both of which he frequently covered, and rhythm and blues. He had a rhythmic guitar style, often in open tunings. He was the opening act at Woodstock, sang many jingles for TV commercials, was also the voice of the Geo Safari toys. Now, born in New York City on January 21st, 1941, by the time he got to Woodstock, he didn't look 28. He looked like, Arlo Guthrie had been on the road or like his father for years. Born in Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, New York, Havens was the oldest of 9 children. He was of Blackfoot descent, or Native American, on his father's side, and on British West Indies on his mother's. His grandfather was Blackfoot of the Montana, South Dakota area. Now, Havens' grandfather and great-uncle joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, moved to New York City thereafter, and settled on a Shinnecock reservation on Long Island. Havens' grandfather married and moved to Brooklyn. As a youth, he began organizing his neighborhood friends into a street-corner doo-wop group. At age 16, he was performing with the McRae Gospel Singers. Now, at age 20, Havens left his hometown of Brooklyn seeking artistic stimulation in Greenwich Village. I saw the village as a place to escape to in order to express yourself, he recalled. I had first gone there during the beatnik days of the 1950s to perform my poetry. Then I drew portraits for 2 years and stayed up all night listening to folk music in the clubs. It took a while before I thought of picking up a guitar. Now, Havens' solo performances quickly spread beyond the village folk music circles. After cutting 2 records for Douglas Records, he signed on with Bob Dylan's manager, Albert Grossman, and landed a record deal with Verve Folkways, later Verve Forecast label. He released Mixed Bag in late 66, which featured tracks such as Handsome Johnny, co-written by Havens and get this actor Louis Gossett Jr., follow in a cover of Bob Dylan's Just Like a Woman. Havens released his first single, No Opportunity Necessary, in 67. Now, Something Else Again became the first album to hit the Billboard charts, and it pulled Mixed Bag back onto the charts. By 1969, he had released 5 albums. 2 of them were unauthorized and were released by Douglas Records or Douglas International. Electric Havens released June 1st, 68, and Richie Havens' record in 69. Now, his live performances earned widespread notice. His opening 69 appearance at Woodstock in a trio with Paul Dino Williams on guitar and singing backing vocals and Daniel Ben Zabulin on percussion catapulted him to stardom, and it was a major turning point in his career. Despite Havens' recollection that he performed for nearly 3 hours, the actual recording and set list reflected he played about 50 minutes, but again, a great performance. Now, Havens continued playing because the musicians after him were delayed by traffic, including the original scheduled opening act, Sweetwater. Havens concluded his set by riffing off the old spiritual Motherless Child. In an interview with Cliff Smith for Music Room, Havens explained, I already played every song I knew and was stalling, asked for more guitar and mic, trying to think of something else to play, and then it just came to me. The establishment was foolish enough to give us all this freedom, and we used it every way we could. Now, the subsequent Woodstock movie release helped Havens reach a worldwide audience. He also appeared 2 weeks later at the Isle of Wight Festival in late August 69. He also began acting during the 70s. He was featured in the original 1972 stage version of The Who's Tommy, as Othello in the 74 film Catch My Soul, in Grease Lightning alongside Richard Pryor, and in Bob Dylan's failed project Hearts of Fire. In July 78, he was a featured performer at the benefit concert for The Longest Walk, an American Indian spiritual walk from Alcatraz to Washington, affirming treaty rights, as a result of legislation that had been introduced to abrogate Indian treaties or like to diminish them. Now, Havens continued to release music and tour during the 80s and 90s. He eventually made advertisements for NBC, CBS, and ABC, and commercials for Amtrak and for Coca-Cola. Havens also did corporate commercial work for Maxwell House Coffee and Folgers, as well as sang The Fabric of Our Lives theme for the cotton industry. In 1982, he appeared at the UK's Glastonbury Festival, closing the show on the Sunday night. He also made guest appearances on Sesame Street from 1974 to 1975. Now, on June 22nd, 1990, he played a packed Yankee Stadium concert in honor of Nelson Mandela, who had come to New York for 3 days after he was released after a multi-year internment from his South African prison, Robben Island. Other performers at the concert were Judy Collins, Tracy Chapman, and Mighty Sparrow. Now, in 1993, Havens performed the inauguration of President Bill Clinton. Among the selections was the Cotton Song, made famous by a series of television commercials from the early 90s. In 1999, he played at the Tibetan Freedom Concert for an audience of more than 100,000. Now, the release of 1993's Resumed, the best of Richie Havens on Rhino, collected his late 60s and early 70s recordings. Now, Havens also played a small role as a character named Days in the film Street Hunter in 1990, starring John Leguizamo. He played himself in Rock of Ages, an episode of the TV sitcom Married with Children, Season 7, Episode 9. Now, he was also the 2011 recipient of the Peace Abbey Courage of Conscience Award, presenting in Sherborne, Massachusetts on April 12, 1991. Now, in 2000, he teamed with the electronic music duo Groove Amata for the Retro's 1970s-style song, Gangs of Time. The song was featured on the soundtrack of the film Collateral. That song was also used in the films Domino, A Lot Like Love, Tell No One, and in the Cold Case episodes, The Badlands and Street Money. Havens was also featured on Little by Little and Healing on the band's third album, Goodbye Country. Now, in 2000, he published They Can't Hide Us Anymore, an autobiography co-written with Steve Davidovich. Havens maintained his status as a folk icon and continued to tour. In 2002, he sang uncredited Dylan's The Times Are Changin' in the TV series The West Wing, Season 4, Episode 7. Also in 2002, he released Wishing Well, followed by the 2004 album Grace of the Sun. Now, on February 15, 2003, Havens opened the unprecedented The World Says No to War in Iraq demonstration in New York City with his iconic song Freedom. As the U.S. stood on the precipice of a shock-and-awe attack of Iraq, tens of millions in more than 800 cities around the world marched against war, leading the New York Times to call these millions the world's new superpower. On October 15, 2006, he was inducted into the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. Now, in 2007, Havens appeared as Old Man Arvin in the Todd Haynes film I'm Not There. In a front porch jam scene, he is shown singing the Bob Dylan song Tombstone Blues with Marcos Carl Franklin and Tyrone Benskin. Havens' version of the song also appears in the I'm Not There soundtrack. Now, on August 17, 2007, he played Bethel Woods Center for the Arts, returning on the 30th anniversary of Woodstock with Arlo Guthrie. Now, in February 2008, Havens performed at the Jazz Cafe in London. Now, he was also invited to perform at the 2008 Cannes Film Festival opening ceremony. He played Freedom at the request of jury president Sean Penn. Havens also performed at the London Ontario Blues Festival in July 2008. In March 2008, he released a new studio album, Nobody Left the Crown. The first single released was The Country Tinged the Key. On August 14, 2009, Richie returned for the 40th anniversary of Woodstock to play the Bethel Woods Festival. Now, Havens appeared in the acclaimed 2009 film Soundtrack for a Revolution, which provided a general history of the modern civil rights movement and featured modern artists performing many of the era's musical classics. In the film, he performed a haunting rendition of Will the Circle Be Unbroken. Now, on May 3, 2009, he performed at a fundraising concert in honor of Pete Seeger's 90th birthday. In June 2009, he performed at the 5th Annual Mountain Jam Festival. The event, hosted by the Allman Brothers and Government Mule guitarist Warren Haynes, was held at the Hunter Mountain Ski Resort in Hunter, New York. As is tradition, the festival took place at a weekend following Memorial Day. On June 20, 2009, he performed at the Clearwater Festival. On July 4, 2009, he performed at the Woodstock Tribute Festival in Ramsey, New Jersey. On August 8, 2010, he performed at Music Fest 2010 at Foy Hall at Moravian College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, in 2010, Havens underwent kidney surgery, but did not recover fully enough to perform as he had before. In March 2012, he announced on his Facebook page that he would retire from touring after 45 years due to health concerns. Now, on April 22, 2013, he died of a heart attack at the age of 72. The BBC referred to him as a Woodstock icon, while Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young said Havens could never be replicated. The Daily Telegraph stated Havens made an indelible mark on contemporary music, while Douglas Martin of the New York Times reported that Havens had riveted Woodstock. Pursuant to Havens' request, he was cremated, and his ashes were scattered from the air over the original Woodstock Festival site in a ceremony held on August 18, 2013, the 44th anniversary of the festival's last day. Now, of U.S. top 40 albums, of course, Alarm Clock in 71 was his biggest. He also did a very interesting album called Sings, Beatles and Dylan, if you can find it, in 1987. Live albums, Richie Havens on Stage went top 55. And, of course, the singles. He did the Beatles covers, Rocket Raccoon and Lady Madonna. Handsome Johnny went 115 in the States. But his beautiful version of Here Comes the Sun went 16 in Billboard and 15 in Cashbox. Eyesight to the Blind from the Tommy soundtrack went top 120, and his last kind of hit was I'm Not in Love. Now, he was also a session performer and singer for numerous bands. So what did Richie Havens mean to my generation? Well, the fact is, he was the voice, just like Buffy Saint-Marie and just like Bob Dylan, just like Johnny Cash. He was the voice of the common people. But Handsome Johnny and Freedom, wow, when I first saw that, it was just unbelievable. Because he made the Woodstock concert. If you're going to encompass of what Woodstock meant to the main people who were there, you know, Freedom and Handsome Johnny, like anti-war and singing for freedom. And the thing is, on Tuesday, are we going to sing freedom again? Well, we'll have to see. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our musical tribute podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.